Hi everyone, Mary Megan here from Popular Materials, here to give you some tips on how to do the adult craft, this picture, at home. If you signed up for the craft from our online catalog, you already received some of your supplies, which include a frame, a sheet of ideas, different bird designs, and some sheets of paper. Some of them are already cut, like this one. They are cut to the 5x7 size so that they fit inside the frame. Or I also gave you some big sheets in case you want to get creative and do your own sort of craft. Now I did a few different sample mediums of the same design to see how they all turn out. Now the first sample, which was the example, this one, was done with Sharpies and a bunch of colored pencils. The next one, this is what happens if you do it with paint. It still works out, just be aware because you're doing a liquid on paper that the paper is going to be a little bit wrinkly, but it still turned out. Crayons kind of is the same effect as the colored pencils. And then markers were kind of my least successful. It's a little bit harder to do some of the color shading. But now I want to show you some tips on how to get the different effects done with the paint or the colored pencil. Okay, so here we have an example of the picture already kind of done at different stages. The first thing I would suggest you do is draw it out in pencil and then go over it in a Sharpie, because certain mediums like the paint or crayons don't really allow for the Sharpie to go over the drawing. So I would draw everything first, pencil, and then outline everything in Sharpie, and then it kind of becomes like coloring a coloring book. One thing I left and wanted to draw your attention to is if you do the bird holding the flower, like in this one, the flower kind of comes through the beak, so you want to make sure that you don't do the stem through the whole beak. So you draw one triangle and then the other for the beak, and then stop the line for the stem up at the line that divides the top and bottom beak, and then up to the flower. Now you have the bird holding the flower in his beak. Next, I want to show you how to get some of the texturing and shading done on using paint. So that's going to be the branch. I colored the first step in the dark brown, and then I have a lighter brown that what I do in order to make it less dark is you get some paint on the paintbrush, and then you dip it in water so that it is not as thick, and then you paint it over and kind of spread it out. So I'm doing kind of a messy job, but you want to cover the area and make sure it's kind of wet. This is why the water or the paper becomes a little crinkly if you use the paint, because now you're adding water to paper. And then after you do that and before it's dry, you take a paper towel and you kind of just blot that over. And it takes away kind of the thicker parts of paint, and now you have texture on the branch. You can do a similar technique to get some shading in the bird if you do different layers of coloring. When you do the next layer, just dip some of the paintbrush in the paint or in the water, and then you can kind of go over it to give a blending of colors. Next, I want to show you how to color the bird and get some shading of coloring with that. So I have 3 different colored pencils because I had 3 different layers. I've got kind of like a light oceany blue. So color the bottom half one color. And then do the next one over it or above it, the next layer. And then what you kind of want to do is you want to make sure that your colors are going kind of one over the other so that there's not a clear division between one or the other. And then with the purple, and I'm just doing this quickly just so that you can see how the colors can blend together. If you do it really dark, the separation of colors might be a little bit more obvious, which you don't really want. You want them blending. So here, you can kind of tell the difference. So what you do is you blend the purple over it. You just kind of color on top. And then if you want some more of the blue, you can add the blue up into the purple and mix the two colors so that they all kind of blend together. It's not a clear separation where one color really ends and one starts. So by coloring them together and doing layers of the color, it all kind of blends to create the bird in multiple colors. Now we just have to color in the bird's beak. And I did that in 2 different colors. Now when your picture is done, and again, if you want your colors darker, you can color it heavier. The colored pencils are kind of light because this paper is a gloss to it. It doesn't take the color as heavily as regular paper might, but that kind of gives it a little bit of like a watercolor effect. So it all depends on what look you're going for. Now I also gave you a picture frame in the packet of supplies. When you open it up, you'll notice that it's got some layers because it has the mat. The papers that I have given you are exactly 5 by 7, so if you put it in straight away, it's gonna slide around. So what I would suggest you do is line it up so that it covers the open glass area, and then take a little bit of tape and just tape it in place right up at the top, and then it won't slide around and you'll be sure that it is all covered when you put the glass in. And there you have a picture of a bird done on a piece of encyclopedia paper. You do not have to do a bird. There are plenty of other designs that you can work on, but here is how you can go about doing the bird on a branch holding a flower. I hope these tips have been helpful in creating your design. If you have just seen this video and are interested in picking up some supplies to do it at home, there is a sign up on the library's online catalog on June 13th as the last day that you can sign up to pick up supplies. I hope you had fun. Have a good day. Bye.